Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Matt.
How's it going?
Good.
Doesn't look like we have many people on yet.
Well, let's give it a minute or two, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this one's a little later than normal because I was on in an airport all day. I'm in Arizona right now, so I had to push it back because I didn't want to cut it too close and then have a flight delay or something weird like that and not be able to jump on in time. So,
What's the airports like with the
man, they're
food?
dead.
Are they pretty bad?
Dead. Yeah, the first one I went to, hang on. The first one I went through, which is in Moline, um, where I lived, that MLI, that one was. I mean, there was five people in the whole place. My flight had all five people, I think. So then I connected to Minneapolis, and Minneapolis, it wasn't busy in there either. Like I walked past all of the shops and stuff as I was going after I left the plane to go to my gate. Starbucks was closed. All the restaurants were closed. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Is COVID, how's it going in Iowa? Are they requiring masks and everything? Or because I know here in LA, they're pretty
Yeah,
stringent about that.
they getting some more people in here. Yeah, they're not that bad with the mask thing. When I got to Arizona, Arizona is nuts on the mask stuff. Like you can't like in my hotel. Like I'm in the Phoenician, which is a really high end hotel, and you have to wear a mask outside of your room in the whole place.
Really?
So, and
Wow.
and in the cab when I got in the taxi, they're like, you have to put a mask on, and you're in the airplane, you have to have a mask. Walking through the airport lobby, you have to have a mask. I mean, I took an Uber, you had to have a mask for that. It's nuts.
Did your pilots have masks?
Yeah, they were wearing masks
Yeah.
too. I don't know if they took them off once they got in the
Yeah.
cabin or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I have a feeling like I had a late lunch just literally half hour ago, and I went from this hotel to another hotel that has a great restaurant in it that I like, and I was talking to them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're probably getting shut down again." So there was nobody there. I was the only one in the whole place eating, but it was a late lunch too. It was pretty late, um, so yeah, it's pretty nuts. I have a feeling things are going to probably shut down again, but you know, we'll see what happens. Playing it by ear. So we've got Tara just jumped on, Ryan's on, Bader's on, we got Cy on there, so we got some more people here. I'll give it a couple more minutes, guys. We'll see who else wants to jump on.
Okay.
I got some really good stuff for you guys today. Regarding, remember this is all recorded too, so a lot of people probably are going to watch the recording. Although last week we had, like we had 192 people on, so it was pretty cool. So if it stays really small, guys, then just feel free to pop a question out if needed. It's just when you get 50 to 100 people on, it gets really noisy if we do that. So we'll give it one or two more minutes here, and then we'll jump into cash buyers. The lighting's not terrible. Like I said, I'm in my hotel room. I might open this curtain up just a little bit.
Hey, guys.
Is the market getting hotter in Iowa, Matt, or about the same?
It's so red hot, it can't get any hotter.
It's the hottest I've ever seen here. I can't believe it.
All the realtors are literally making more money right now than they ever have. So it's pretty crazy. It's crazy, but I just don't know how long it's going to last. Like I have a feeling that let's see, the stock market did today. It was up a little bit. I have a feeling that when the unemployment situation changes, where the unemployment checks stop coming in, one or two things are going to happen. One, people are either going to go back to work, or two, they don't have work to go back to, and we'll see a big drop. That's really kind of, I think, what's propping up the economy right now is just the unemployment money and all of the loans that came in. But I mean, sheesh, man, it's there's still a lot of places closed. You know, it's really weird. But it's the hottest economy I've seen since probably '06. But it's the weirdest deal because even though it's hot, there's 14% unemployment nationwide. It's just crazy. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's jump into it, guys. I want to get started and give you guys some good stuff here. So we're going to talk buyers today. So let me just start out by saying I want to set up some foundational stuff. You know, every time I get on here on Wednesdays, I like to start the training with foundational stuff that you must do. Otherwise, if you don't do the foundational stuff that I show you, then all the little tips and tricks just don't work, or they don't work as well. So, let's jump into it. So first of all, you guys should be building your buyers list all the time. Like, that is a weekly routine. So you should always be constantly building your buyers list. It should never stop. Write that down. And here's the first thing. So, for example, I put a property under contract, or my team put a property under contract today, and my VA jumped. So my system is set up to be like pretty automated. You know, most of you guys know I got all kinds of virtual assistants. We got more hiring. We got all these virtual assistants working for us. So it's like a chain reaction. When we get a house under contract, that automatically triggers to a virtual assistant, and that virtual assistant then takes that deal, and we do three things. One, it goes onto Craigslist for a wholesale deal. So we place an ad on Craigslist the day it goes under contract. That's step one. So you should do this on every deal. It doesn't even matter if you have a buyer all ready to go. You can be like, Matt, no, I don't need to do that because I got this cash buyer over here. He's already going to take the deal. It doesn't matter. Do this anyway, because that cash buyer that's going to take this deal, he might be gone in 3 months. He might be gone next week. He might blow all his cash on something else. I've had it happen to me a million times, but it happens to everybody. So, oh, sorry, guys. We got more people I got to let in here. So there we go. All right. I got to watch. For some reason, I don't have Tyler here. He handles Tyler does all the techie stuff. And for some reason, I have to push a button to let people in this week. So no big deal. So anyway, but we got Aaliyah in here. We got Jack just joined us. Okay. So always be building your buyers list, even if you have a buyer ready to go, because you just don't know what's going to happen to that guy's cash. Nobody has unlimited cash, right? And you can go on a buying spree and burn through $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million. I mean, I've seen it happen. So always be building. Now, let's say you've got it sold. You know that it's sold, but you list it on Craigslist, and a buyer comes through. You can still squeeze that buyer and tell that buyer that it's sold. That does a couple things. That builds posture. That builds your confidence. And that shows that buyer that you had a real legit deal that they should have moved quicker on. So it trains that person, it trains that buyer, it trains him how to think. It trains him how to react when dealing with you. When I do business with Matt, I need to move quick. Otherwise, I don't get the deal. It's all subconscious. So every single deal you get under contract, like I said, all of this is all automated with me. It all goes through my virtual assistants. Deal comes in, goes under contract, boom, that triggers to send it over to Daisy. Daisy lists it on Craigslist. She lists it on Facebook Marketplace, and she lists it on, then she also lists it on Zillow. So Facebook Marketplace is kind of like the new Craigslist. You should be listing every deal on that. Again, you're building your buyers list. So every time a lead comes in, now I'm going to focus this, we're going to go down this path. And if you guys listen to me, you'll get to the level that I've gotten to, where you build this humongous buyers list and then you send an email, you sell a house. So every time a lead comes in on Craigslist, you don't say, well, hey, I sold that one already. You first say, hey, what's your email address? Let me capture your information real quick. Then once you get their email address, then you say, hey, that one's already been sold, but I've already added you to my email list. The next time I get one under contract, boom, it's going to go directly to you, right to email. You'll be one of the first people to look at it. Same with Facebook Marketplace. Let that thing run for a while. You know, I have an ad for a wholesale deal from 3 years ago that I never closed from Facebook Marketplace, and I still get leads from it. People still, hey man, this one's still available, and we're talking like the date's on there. They know I listed it 3 years ago. Well, for whatever reason, they searched all the way to the bottom of Facebook and found it. So you got to capture those leads. So then the next thing is that Zillow that I said. Zillow, so I got a buddy of mine. He does a lot of deals. He does 10, 12, and he's ramping his marketing. He's been consistent 10 deals a month for a really long time. He's going to probably end up going to 12, 15, 20 soon. He just hired his second acquisitions guy. And it was so funny because he only wholesales. Every single deal that comes in, he wholesales. And so it was funny because I told him, he was telling me, he's like, I'm doing about 10 deals a month. And this is, I don't know, 6 months ago, it may be 8. And I'm like, really, how are you selling them? He goes, oh, we just, we just hustle around and call the buyers. I'm like, dude, why don't you just list them on Zillow? Like, you'll sell them really fast. And he tried that day. Like he listed one on Zillow and he sold it. Now it's the only disposition he uses now. He doesn't do anything else. He just lists his properties on Zillow once he gets them under contract. So you will get leads from that, and you'll probably sell a lot of houses that way. I don't know what the heck is going on with Zillow, but it's just so powerful. Over the years, I remember when I first got into real estate 15 years ago, Zillow was around back then. Now it was terrible. Everybody makes fun of Zillow's estimate prices. Even now, you should have seen it 15 years ago. Like, a shack in the ghetto is $1 million on the Zestimate. It would sell for like 20 grand. But they've gotten better over the years. But whatever it is, Zillow is a household name now, and people go there to look for properties. People go to Zillow to look for properties no differently than they go to Realtor.com or call their realtor. So it gets a lot of traction. So you should list every single property on Zillow, and you see what kind of activity you get on that. And then the last thing you should be doing. Now, this is not something it's not something that okay, there's a couple steps to this, but it works. You can list it on Facebook Marketplace, but you can also list it on your own personal Facebook. Now, there's a couple ways if you really want to automate your business and you don't, if you want to automate your business and have a virtual assistant do this for you, you have to do one step. So if you want to start, so what we did in my company is I didn't really want a virtual assistant in my personal Facebook account. So what we did was we bought, actually we didn't even buy it. You can buy them. What we did, I don't think we paid for it, but there was a girl working for me at the time. This is probably 5 years ago. She was working for me, and she had a second Facebook account that she never used. So we took that account, changed the name on it, deleted all the data, but it still had the aging to the account. So it didn't look like it just been around for, a month. And we had all the aging to it. So we just deleted all the old junk out of it and then put our picture in it and our logo and all that. Now the VA runs that. So we get a house under contract. It'll go to a Facebook account and be listed on Facebook, but it's not your personal account. So what you can do is, what you should be doing is every single deal that you get done or that you get under contract, you should post something on your Facebook account about the deal. Now, I don't get super specific. To be honest with you guys, I don't get super specific on a lot of my stuff when I first get something under contract, because I'm in a small area, and it doesn't matter if you're in a small area or a big area, but in a small area, it's a little bit more tricky. If I get something under contract, I'm afraid that maybe that seller's on Facebook or something like that. And they say, hey man, I just put that house under contract for 20 and now he's selling it for 30. What's up? So it causes problems. So what we do is we keep our stuff really vague. So you don't have to, you can get somebody excited by writing good copy without actually giving away the address. Just give the details away. You can throw a couple interior pictures in there or whatever. But a lot of times we don't even add pictures. I just use it as a tool to get people to call me or call my office. Now with Zillow, we always use pictures, Craigslist, all that. But your personal Facebook page, you know, sometimes you can just put something like, one of the ads that was so well for me for so many years, and it probably still would work. I just don't do it that much anymore because everything else we do generates so many cash buyers that it's like almost overkill. But you can just place a simple ad. Like, I like to use success stories. Like, hey, I had a local investor. Here's what I like to do, guys. Like, get to know the people buying your properties, and when you sell them a property, tell them to let you know how it goes. Like, hey man, when you get this thing done and you sell it, tell me about it. Like, I want to know how it worked. Like, I want to know a cool success story. Like, did you make 20? Like, just say, I don't care if you make $100 million. Like, I just want to hear a success. So if I sell it to you for, you know, 100 grand and you can turn around and sell that thing for 250,000, awesome. I want you to make money. Like, I want abundance in your life, but just tell me about it. And then what happens is they'll start telling you. And the cool thing is, this is super powerful. This will bring you in more leads than anything, because success stories always sell. You can just tell a story. Hey man, this guy named David Bader, he bought this property for me. I sold him the property for $40,000. He fixed it up and resold it for $120,000. And after all his expenses, he made $38,000. And right now, I have another one of those types of properties available. If you're looking to get into real estate, or you need a house to flip, get a hold of me, and I have, you know, I'll give you more details on this property. Like, that little story will sell. You will hit go, you will hit send on your Facebook, and you set your phone down, and it'll just be like message. I mean, it is unbelievable. First time I tried that, I just came up with it on my own probably like 5 years ago. And the first time I did it, I spent the next day and a half responding to messages. It was unbelievable, because people like to see, one, people like to see success, and two, they don't understand wholesaling. But after you tell them that story, they kind of get the gist of it. So every time you wholesale a deal, tell the guy, hey man, just tell me how this goes at the end. Like, tell me if it, you know, if you made a lot of money or whatever. I'd love to see you succeed. I'd love to sell you more properties, blah, 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 blah. And then every time that somebody messages you, hey man, that deal was awesome, I just made $22,000. Then post that on your Facebook and use it to get more buyers. It's unbelievable. You'll be amazed at how many buyers are out there that never show up on a buyer's list. Okay, so that's foundational thing one. Foundational thing two is always verify the cash buyer's cash. Like, I can't tell you. So I've done a lot of deals, you guys know that. I mean, I've done 4 or 5, I don't even know. It's got to be over 5,000. I just never say 5,000 anymore. It's a lot. And I'm still amazed at how many times I write an email and I say, cash only, must have cash, must be able to close fast with cash, must have cash. And people still don't have cash, okay? They have hopes to get cash. They know a guy with cash, but they don't have the cash, but they hope it'll work out. You don't want that to be the case. So verify their cash. So usually when somebody's like, hey man, I saw that deal, I was on your email, I want to know, can I buy that, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, man, how do you, it's a cash, you know, I mentioned it was a cash deal, right? Like, you know, it's cash. Yep. Okay. Well, cool, man. Well, what kind of cash do you use? Is this like cash in your bank account? Do you have a line of credit? Is it hard money? Like, what typically, when you pay cash for property, how do you do that? He goes, or this is just, you'll get every response. Some people say, well, I have a line of credit. Some people say, no, I just have cash in my account. Some people say, no, I use hard money. Just say, okay, no problem. If it's cash in your bank account, hey man, just do me a favor. Part of my due diligence is I just need, just send me a screenshot of your bank account. You can cross out all the numbers. I'm not interested in your number. I just want to make sure, verify that amount of cash is there. It's just part of what our process is. No big deal. If it's a line of credit, do the same thing. And then if it's hard money, say, hey man, who's your hard money lender? Who do you use? And they'll give you the name. They have to give you the name or you just don't do the deal with them. You're going to know the name. Like if somebody says, no, I don't like to disclose that. Like, dude, how would I not know that? Like, you're going to close on this property with that hard money lender. He's going to place a first mortgage. I'm going to have, that's public record anyway. How would I not know who your hard money lender is? So if they ever try to say like, I don't want to tell you that, then that's, kind of amateur, like they're total amateur. So, so ask them who it is and then call that person and say, hey man, Joe Blow, he's going to buy this house from me. It's, $182,000. Just want to verify that he's good to go on that amount of money. Oh yeah, no, he's good to go. And then I'll say, well, does that mean he's good to go? Like you're covering the 182? Oh, no, man. I'm only covering 150 of it. He's got to cover the other 32. Okay, great, man. Thank you. Boom, hang up. Hey, pick up the phone. Hey man, talk to your hard money lender. He's only covering 150. You got to cover the other 32,000. Can you show me proof of that money? Like I've had this stuff. I tell you guys this stuff because it's happened to me so many times, and you would not believe by just doing these steps how many people that shake out quick. I don't have to wait until the day before closing and they bail. They shake out right then. Well, hey man, I don't really have the 32,000 because I'm going to sell this house over here, but it'll be closed by the time I have to buy yours, and it's not. No. I gotta make sure right now. I've shaken out a lot of big players over the years that I knew that they wouldn't be able to close just by asking them how they're going to do that. So just make sure you do those 3 steps. Wherever the money's coming from, just verify it. You will save yourself so much stress, so much headache. It'll be unbelievable. Now, there's no guarantee that they're still going to use that cash to close. Okay. That's why we got to go to step number 3, which is you got to get a deposit. Okay. You've got to get a deposit from them. If you're double closing the deal, if you're assigning the deal, it's super simple, man. Just give me the assignment fee. It's non-refundable. But and I deal with a lot of small assignment fees, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, because I'm in a market that's a smaller market. The houses aren't worth a lot of money. I mean, typically most of the houses I deal with are between 80 and 120 grand. So my typical assignment fee might be $5,000, and that might be a really good fee. So if I'm going to assign something for $5,000, dude, just pay me up front. No big deal. If a title can't clear, give it back to you. Otherwise, I try to, whatever my earnest money is, and your earnest money should be $1. In 99% of the cases should be $1. I always have a rule, double my earnest money or minimum 4,000, minimum $4,000. Because at least I'm going to come away with something on the deal if everything falls apart. Now, here's the cool part. If the deal does start to fall apart at the last minute, and deals, just so you guys know, deals don't fall apart in the middle. They don't fall apart in the beginning. They fall apart on the last day. That's when there's no time left to fix anything. So if I have $4,000 of somebody's money, that helps them with the motivation to figure things out. But in the chance that they don't, then I don't just bail on the deal and keep the $4,000. I still kick the buyer out. But at that point, I go back to the seller and I ask for extra time. And if the seller's like gives me a hassle, no big deal. I got $4,000 to play with. If I know I can wholesale that thing again, I'll offer the seller $500 to give me an extra 2 weeks. Now I go back to all the other buyers that wanted the deal and tell them, hey, super amateur buyer, totally flaked, didn't have the cash, couldn't close. Your lucky day. Now you get the deal if you want it. So that's kind of how I do that. I make sure you have to make sure you get money. Otherwise it won't close. Almost never. So, and just so you know, I have a double standard in all the deals. I buy a lot of deals from wholesalers in the Quad Cities, and I never give them anything up front, but I'm one of those rare people that actually close. So I've built that reputation. So nobody asks me for the money. No deal ever doesn't come together because I don't give them earnest money. You guys can do that too if you have a buyer that you trust that you know will close. But if you're working with somebody you don't know, you can't trust them. You don't know what the deal is. So make sure you get some a deposit. The next thing, another foundational thing is make sure you there shouldn't be any inspection clauses in the contract. They really need to do their inspections first. So a couple things happen when you do that. One, you don't ruin the deal, because what happens is if you give somebody's inspection period, your clock's ticking, you're going to run out of time. And if it doesn't pass inspection of theirs, you just lost. Let's say the deal's supposed to close in 3 weeks and they use 3 or 4 days out of that 3 weeks to go do their inspection. All of a sudden now you've got to close the deal. Now you only have 2.5 weeks to close. So one, it keeps your timelines on point, and two, it builds posture. When you tell somebody, hey man, when somebody says, hey man, I want the deal, I'm good to go. I just need to run through it quick. I'm like, no, man, you gotta go run through it now. If you need it, or you can look at the pictures, however you want to do it, you can drive by. But as soon as we sign a purchase agreement, there's no inspection clause. So I try to eliminate that out and save myself a lot of hassle. Some people might say, well, Matt, that's just not realistic. Like nobody's going to really do that. That's not true. You teach these people how to treat you. If you don't want to work, you can do this. Real estate can be really, really hard, or it can be easy. If you do the things that set you up for easiness, it will be easy. If you do the things that set you up for stress and sleepless nights and just misery, it will be miserable. So just be that guy that's how you set up, and make the deal so amazing that people will put up with it no matter what the situation. Have you guys, if any of you guys have ever bought from like places like Fannie Mae, you have to put like 10% down if you want to do those deals. And guess what? All of those Fannie Mae deals sell because somebody's willing to put 10% down as earnest money. It's because they want the deal. It's good enough deal. So the same thing can be with your deals. You just have to have amazing deals. You can't have like super strict terms and a crappy deal. Like you got to have the good stuff. Okay, so that's that. Any questions so far? Anyone? I know there's a couple messages. Let me check them real quick here. Oh, nice haircut. Thanks. I just got that yesterday. It was a great clip special for $14. Let's see here. You guys want to know why I like great clips? Because you walk in and you don't have an appointment, and you walk out. You're in and out in like 5 minutes. And those people are production level. Like they don't want to sit and chat with you about like this super long conversation. They're just in and out. So I don't do it for the cost. I do it for the speed. I time everything too, by the way. Let's see here. Do you list it for sale by owner on Zillow? Yes, Cy. We list it for sale by owner on Zillow. Yep.
Do you ever get any concerns about, since Zillow is so much more public than Craigslist, that the owner put the address into Google and see it pops up for sale?
We haven't had that happen to us yet, so no. But that could be a real concern. Yeah. Somebody's neighbor could see the house. Hey, man, didn't realize you were selling your house. Hey, where'd you see that at? Well, I saw it on Zillow. Well, let me go check that out. Hey, this guy's making 20 grand off me. Technically at that point, there's not a lot they can say. They can make it a hassle for you, but I haven't seen it yet, so I would do it. I'm like one of those guys. You know how like sometimes you're afraid to do something because you think it might not work out. I'm like one of those guys that, hey, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway and just see what happens. Like that's my half the stuff I do. I have no confidence that it'll work, and then it does work, and then I'm like, well, that was pretty cool. Okay, so last thing is, you guys do not sell your properties. Like really avoid selling your properties with phone calls. Like that's terrible. Like phone calls will ruin your day. Try not to do phone calls because it takes too long. It's just too much work. So you want to get to the point where you send an email and sell a house. So every time you get a lead, I don't care if it's somebody that messages you on Zillow. I don't care if it's Facebook. I don't care if it's Craigslist. Get their email. How many of you guys and maybe this isn't something recent, but maybe it is. I don't know. How many of you guys have ever messaged me on Instagram or something, and you're like, "Hey, Matt, I wanted to reach out to you because I wanted that free thing that you're giving away," and and have any of you guys done that like in the last 6 months? And then I said, what do I always say first thing? Well, hey man, send me your email and I'll send it right over. Boom, email comes in, and then I just send it right on Instagram. I don't even email it, but I captured the email. You've got to get in the habit of capturing email, because that's all your wholesale business is basically worthless. It's worth nothing. Like there's no equity. There's nothing there. It's a worthless, unsellable business. But if you have a email list, that's valuable. That's money. There's real value in an email list. So you want to get to the point where even if Facebook was down, Zillow's down, Instagram's gone, it disappeared, I still have my email list. People still have emails, and I can send them an email and I can sell a house. So email is always number one. We got a 6-unit under contract today, and I wrote a quick email. It took me 3 minutes to write the email. I sent it to my team to send out, and we must have had, man, I don't even know. I stopped. I mean, it was just like 20 email responses that they like, hey man, I'm interested in that deal, within like 5 minutes. So like there's power there. It builds confidence. It just builds like, you're going to sell the deal. So email is number one. Always email's best. Some people like to say, well, Matt, I disagree with you. I think text is better. I'm going to disagree with you guys. Texting is not better than email. Email's better than texting, because email I can say a lot more. Okay. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys somebody ever sent you a text message and it was like this long and you didn't even read it? You guys ever get to that? Like, I don't read text messages that long. I literally skip them. So every single, like my mom, so I retired my parents, 9 years ago, like 9 years ago, maybe it's 10 now. Anyway, so at the beginning of every single month, there's an automatic withdrawal from my account that goes directly into my parents' account. And every single first, it's boom, clockwork hits their account on the first. My mom feels like she needs to send me a book, which is awesome. She needs to text me a book like this long on how appreciative she is of the money that just hit her account. And it's awesome that she's so grateful, and it probably takes her an hour to write them. But I don't even read my mom's text message that's long. I don't even read it. I scan it real quick. I tell her I love her, and my email's 3 words. I love you too, Mom, or 4. That's it. I move on. So I just don't like doing that through text message. But email isn't as daunting. Like you could have 3 or 4 sentences, which if it was put in a text message, it might be like that long, but it's only 3 or 4 sentences. I can speed read that real quick. I can read the whole thing in 30 seconds and I move on. You can't do that with text. So yes, you can sell deals with text. You can send a link, and that's awesome, but I like email better. But text is a great second. So I send an email first, and then my dispositions guys on my team, like I will write the email because I'm good at copy. And I do that part, but then the leads go to my dispositions guys on my team. Then they close the deal from there, and I'm out. That's the only part of the whole process that I do. And eventually I probably will eventually hand off the email writing piece too, but I got to do something, in the course of my day. So I do that part. And lastly, Facebook messaging is also really, really good too. So some people respond better to Facebook messages than they do their text. I have no idea why this is, but any of you guys have like somebody that you have their phone number and you text them, but you still go into Facebook and text them anyway? You guys do that?
I do that.
I do that. I do that. I have friends that I could just pick up my phone and send them a regular text, and I go into Facebook and do it instead. I don't have any idea why I do that, but Facebook, my messages get read. So I like when you're finding cash buyers, they don't know you from Jack. They don't know who, and we got Jack on the thing right now. So I probably shouldn't have said Jack, but they don't know you from anybody. So here's the thing is, I like contacting buyers through Facebook messaging because then they can go check out my profile. I'm not some random dude that's just sending them a cold text. I like the fact that they can just go check out my Facebook stuff. So Facebook messaging is powerful. So my strategy has always been, when I was really working hard on building my buyers list, now my VAs do this now, but when I was working hard on this, one of the biggest things I did was I'd get the guy, I found out that if I got somebody's name and I did an amazing job and I had all this technical skill and I could skip trace and I found their number and I sent them a text, sometimes they still would not answer me. But if I found them on Facebook and then sent them, they always responded back. People don't like some people won't answer a call that they don't know who's calling. They don't know the number. So they will not answer. And if the person doesn't leave a message, they're never going to call the person back. Same thing with texting. You get a text from somebody that you don't know. Sometimes you'll say, hey man, who is this? Or other times you just won't respond. But if somebody sends you a Facebook message, oh wait, let me look at this, check this guy out. Oh, okay, well he's a real estate guy. Okay, it gives you credibility. So that's my kind of my thing. Email, texting, and Facebook messaging, and phone calls are definitely last. So avoid phone calls like the plague because they will take all of your time. You will not have any time left. If you want to scale and you get a deal under contract and you have to sell it and you do phone calling, you will burn 2 days out of your week to sell that deal. Follow-up messages and people calling you back and, oh, I'm on the phone with this guy and then this guy called me and I missed his call. Now I got to call him back. Just avoid phone calls if you can and only use phone calls for the final close. That's kind of what I like to do. So my email, texting, and Facebook messaging is my filter, and it finds out, I get to find out real quick through very quick messages if somebody's legit, ready to go, has cash in hand, ready to close, super serious. And then when I get to that person, I use phone calls for the final close. If I need it. If I've got a buyer that buys a lot, I may not need that. Okay. All right. So 36 minutes in, that's the foundational stuff. Again, you guys, that's the most important stuff. Like, that's the stuff that if you do that right, everything else is easy. Okay. So now let's take the next few minutes. Well, first of all, any questions on anything I've covered so far? All good? Wow, I must have did a good job explaining that. Okay, all right. So now let's talk about how to find buyers, how to find cash buyers. Right now, it's cool to talk about this because there's a lot of cash buyers that are kind of getting shaken out. Like, people are out of the game, some of them. Some new people are in the game that haven't been in the game for 5 or 6 years, who've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for now. And then there's other people that, are always buying. But the cool thing is it's going to change, guys. Like, it's a crazy market right now. I mean, with everything that's happening with, the whole COVID thing, and it looks like it's going to flare back up and everything's going to shut back down again. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't try to do too much predicting, but I really feel like it's going to pop for a minute and it's going to drop again. So we'll see what happens. It doesn't matter to you guys because you're going to be ready no matter what. And I never, kind of on that note, I never sit around and wonder like, oh man, I'm not going to make any money this month because the market's going to fall. Like, I don't think about, like, you just shift your deal and you still make money. Okay. So how to find cash buyers. So the old method, and this still works, and this is free, but I'll tell you why I think this is okay and why I don't necessarily like it. So the old MLS cash sold list, right? You can get a hold of your realtor. You can, and you should be doing this. Like, this could be a VA task. You could have your VA do this, and it's super simple. Super simple. And if you have MLS access, I know some people do, you can do this yourself and have your VA do it. Or you can, call your realtor and pull this list. All you're doing is asking your realtor, say, hey, over the last 6 months or 12 months, could you send me all the deals that were sold with cash in these zip codes, from $0 up to $500,000, whatever you decide. Then you're going to get a list of all these MLS sheets, and you're going to have a list of the properties, but you don't necessarily have a list of who the buyer was. You have to do the research, so it takes manual work. Then you take that, you pull up the property, and you go onto the county assessor site and see who that owner is and where their tax bill sent. And then you take that and you skip trace or do research, Google the name, Google the person's name, Google their company name, if it's an LLC, and then you find out. Super simple. I have a VA do all this stuff. All of this stuff is never something, I never do any of this, but we still do it in my company. And then they go and search, and then we send that person an email if we can find their email address. And a lot of times we can, not always, and there's not 100%, but you get that person's, that you add them to your cash buyers list. So that's the old school. So I like it because it's free and it's pretty easy. There's some manual work to it, but it's pretty easy and it's legit. Like, that person paid cash. But the reason I don't like it is history doesn't always repeat itself. That cash buyer may not be buying more properties. They bought properties in the past, but that doesn't mean they're going to still buy properties. Maybe they're out of the business. So one thing that the COVID thing kind of really reminded me is that just because a cash buyer bought a property 6 months ago or a year ago doesn't mean they're in the market for another one. Some of them are completely out of the game right now. So that's why I like it, but I don't like it. But it's something you have to do. Like, it's just basic stuff that you should do to build your cash buyers list, because it doesn't matter if you contact somebody and they say they're not buying properties anymore. Almost always, if you just ask one quick question, like, well, do you know anybody else that is? And you're nice and you're a decent person to talk to, they might say, yeah, you know what? My buddy Joe, he's still buying properties. You could get a referral from somebody. People like helping people. Like, legit, most people, if you ask them, hey, well, do you know anybody else that might be interested in buying a really discounted property? Yeah, man, this guy over here, he does. They almost always want to help you. So you can always ask for a referral. So that's one thing you should be doing. You should be doing that. It's super simple. It's free. It's easy. The second thing is you can get a cash buyer software. So there's a lot of software out there now that does all of that first step that I just went through. It does it automatically. You pay a monthly fee. I think what I pay, I don't even know. I think it's like $50 or $75 a month. But you get a login to a database, and you can pull up a zip code and see every single cash sold that happened in that zip code for the last 18 months. So it's kind of, I call it my cheat way to do it, but it's very, very fast. And a lot of times you get, some of them have like the skip tracing built in. If you don't have the skip tracing built in, you can hand it off to a VA and have them do it manually, where they either run it through your skip trace software or they just Google search and do old school skip tracing, which we do both. We do everything. So I pull the list comes, well, I don't do any of it. My VA logs into the account, pulls the list. Every single day she's required, I think I make her send me like 40 cash buyers a day or something like that. So she logs in there, she pulls the list, then she skip trace old school. She tries to skip trace through Data Finder, pulls as many as she can. The ones that she can get easily through that way, she does that, adds them to the sheet, and then goes old school skip tracing, where she just does Google searching and tries to find the person's number that way. So we do both. But that's a very, very easy way to get thousands of cash buyers really fast. Again, they don't know you. And if you send them an email, they may never respond. If you send them a message on Facebook, they're likely to respond. Pretty cool. Okay. But anybody that can't get like cash buyers I mean, that's just not a thing. Like it's so easy to get cash buyers. All right. The next thing is you can go old school and you can go into We Buy Houses, Google We Buy Houses in your town, whatever town you're in, you're going to get a ton that come up, a ton. And those guys are really cash buyers. They're wholesalers, most of them, a lot of them. Not every one of them, but some of them are wholesaling. And they're buying properties. Now they want a great price. That doesn't matter because you could use this person to disposition a property you have. So it doesn't necessarily matter. You're not just using cash buyers. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can use cash buyers. You can use them to send you a property that you turn around and wholesale to somebody else. You can get a property on a contract, hand it off to them and let them disposition or sell it directly to them. There's so many different ways. But I like going to YouTube and typing in We Buy Houses and the City on YouTube and seeing what videos come up. I like to do the same thing with Google. And then old school is just when you're driving around and you see a bandit sign, you should always call every single bandit sign. Even to this day, when I'm driving, which I don't leave my house very often anymore, but when I'm driving and I see a bandit sign with a number that I don't know who it is, I'm like, man, I always pop it into my phone just to see like if the number pops up, you know. Sometimes it does, and I've already talked to the guy, but sometimes it doesn't. I'm always curious, like who's the new guy in town that's, you know, wholesaling. So you should always talk to those people and make sure that they know, hey, anytime you get a property, send it to me or ask them if they have anything in inventory they're trying to sell already. And you know, it's a great way to keep relevant with some of those local guys. Okay, so thousands of buyers you can add to your list in days. Okay, so how are we doing on time? Okay, we got some time. Any questions right now? Oh, wait, I got somebody else trying to get in. Hang on. Yeah, Sai, you got a question?
Yeah, I know you mentioned the softwares to buy cash buyers. I see plenty of them out there. I think you had like 2 or 3, and I think in your virtual unemployed 2.0. Is there one that you know for sure? Like, hey, that's my number one go-to.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys have I have an affiliate link with these guys, and you get a better deal. It's through Cameron Dunlap. It's what we use. That's what I use. That's what my VAs use every day. If you need the affiliate link, if you don't have it, guys, just pop over an email to Tyler or Amanda or in the Facebook group and tag Amanda. Amanda, she always has all the affiliate links. Get that, and then you'll get a better deal on the whole thing. I think there's a discount. But that's what we use. And if you have, I think there might even be some videos on it in Virtually Unemployed 2.0. So that's one I like. And I've used a lot of them, but I know his is like I always, if I get a service like that and I pull up like where I Buy Houses at, and my company name doesn't pop up, I know it's not accurate. But I like Cameron's because when I go in there, it shows the houses I actually buy. So I know it's good. Is that good? Cool. Okay, let's see here. What are I talking about? All right, so again, I mentioned at the very beginning, Zillow, Facebook, and Craigslist. That should be part of your deal every time. You know, you should be going there getting cash buyers. The same thing. Like I just, when I got that house under contract today, I listed my VA listed it on Craigslist, listed on Facebook and Zillow. There's guys that are doing that every time they get it under contract. So if you are always on, pulling that data from Craigslist and all that and Facebook, you will get other cash buyers from that. Somebody asked a question. Starting text campaign. What is your killer text? I'll get to you in a second, Tara. Good question. Okay. So the next thing is, this is a great technique, and people forget about this for getting cash buyers. One, it's realtors. Realtors have a lock. They have relationships, and they have a lock on a lot of cash buyers. And some people will only buy through the realtor. It's not always, but here's a little technique. I taught this a couple years ago. What you can do if I literally had a phone call the other day. I was on the phone with this realtor, and he's like, man, I am selling more houses than I've ever sold in my life. And I'm like, really? Do you have any buyers that, cash buyers that are looking for wholesale deals? Oh yeah, I do. And I'm like, okay, man, well, I don't want to list my property with you, but I will give you a one-time showing agreement that you can fill out. And if you have a buyer for a property, I will pay you money. So it's called a one-time showing agreement. That's how if you get a deal under contract and you have a realtor that has cash buyers, you can call those realtors. Here's what I do. I get a hold of the top 5 realtors in the area that deal with wholesale, like distressed properties. Get those guys, call them up and say, hey, when I get something under contract, can I send it over to you? If you have a buyer for it, I'll give you a one-time showing agreement. You tell me what you want to make, and we'll come up with a price. I even told like this realtor, he was like, yeah, man, I don't mind doing that. But he's like, if it's like a $40,000 house and I only make like $1,500, it's really not worth it. I'm like, dude, you bring a buyer, I'll give you the price I need. You mark it up from there. I don't care if you make $10,000. If I have it under contract for $32,000 and I'm trying to sell it for $38,000, but you could sell it for $45,000, then you just made $7,000 in commission. Like, I don't care how much you make. I want you to make a lot of money. I just know what I need to make my minimum on. You can make whatever you want after that. And he was pumped. So a lot of times people beat realtors down on commission. This guy was excited because I'm like, I don't care how much you make. If you've got the relationship and you can sell a house for more, make more money. So that's a very powerful technique. The next thing is REI clubs and meetups. REI clubs and meetups. Now, there's a lot of newbies at REI clubs and meetups. A lot of newbies. But guess what? What I like about those clubs and the meetups is I like asking, like, this is my favorite question. Hey man, who's the biggest cash buyer or wholesaler or real estate investor in this area? And people always rattle off like 2 or 3 names. Like, every newbie knows who the top guys are. I don't know how, they just always do. That's interesting to them. They like to talk to a lot of people. Newbies talk a lot, right? They talk a lot. They talk to a lot of people, and they find out who the top dog is. I'll tell you a quick story. So 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, a long time ago, I don't remember. I'm at I actually own this bar now. I don't own the bar business. I own the real estate. It's the largest bar in the Quad Cities. And but this is before I bought it. I was there checking it out. I'm standing at the bar, having a drink, and this guy walks up to me. He's this great big muscular dude, and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" "Good." He's like, "So what do you do?" I mean, I'm thinking this guy's trying to pick me up or something. He's like, "So what do you do?" Like, right into it. And I'm like, "I do real estate." He goes, "Man," he goes, "I got a good buddy of mine. He does real estate too. He flips like 15, 20 houses a month. This guy's unbelievable. Good buddy of mine." And I'm thinking, man, there's somebody in the Quad Cities doing 15 to 20 a month. I just couldn't think of a single person who that would be other than me. And I'm like, what's this guy's name? He goes, "Matt Larson." And I'm like, dude, that's me. And he literally walked away. But he was telling me how good buddies he was with this guy. It was so freaking funny. So, but all these newbies talk to a lot of people. They know, they hear the names, they know who's doing deals. So you can go to an REI club. Don't expect to always meet. I'm not saying you won't meet some people doing real estate and closing deals, but rather than just go there and meet, I always ask them, "Hey man, who do you think the biggest investor is in the area?" And you'll get names. Then call those people because they're probably legit buyers. Okay, and then the last one is the big one. Like, here's how you're going to make all your money moving forward. You want to get the landlords, because we're getting ready. This market, there is still a lot of fix and flippers buying right now, but that's going to fade, guys. I'm just telling you. Like, I don't know how much longer that this market can run. And a lot of the fix and flippers, they get wiped out. They get burned. They lose. They miss. Landlords don't care. Landlords are buying for cash flow. Of course, every landlord wants to get a good deal, but they're not paying attention to, hey man, if I got to buy it for this, I got to resell. They're not looking at that. They're looking at a return on their money. So they're, hey, if I buy it for this and this is the rent, here's the expenses, here's what I get paid. That's a smart. So landlords, they're more of a logical investor. A fix and flipper is more emotional. And so when the market shifts and goes down, the emotional people jump out, the logical people jump in, and you want to be working with a lot of logical investors that can understand cash flow and the numbers, and sell them, sell them properties. So how do you find them? Well, some of them are not, if you pulled a cash buyers list right now, they would not show up. They might not buy through realtors, so they wouldn't show up on the MLS. They may not have bought in the last 18 months because, it hasn't been the right time. They couldn't find the right deal. So you have to kind of do some work with this. It takes work. So one of the ways is like the old school for rent signs is kind of an old technique as that sounds. It still works. You can, call the for rent sign. Hey man. And I like the old red and white ones, the old school ones, where there's not a property manager involved. And you just, hey man, I saw you have the house for rent. I'm not really looking to rent the house. I'm just looking to see if you want to sell the house. Well, no, I don't want to sell it. I'm looking, I want to keep this house forever. Okay. You looking to buy more? Yes, I would buy more. That's the conversation. And then you're going to find some investors that way. And those people are landlords. They want to own rental property. This, you might even find some big investors. There's a guy in my area. It's unbelievable. There's a guy in my area with over 500 rental properties in the Quad Cities, all paid off, all free and clear. Been doing it for 25, 30 years. He doesn't work with any realtor. He doesn't work with any property management company. He manages them all himself. And you would find him with old school signs. So it's legit. And let me tell you, somebody that owns over 500 houses free and clear has more money than they know what to do with. So it works. The other thing is Facebook groups, or Facebook in general. You can sometimes find landlords on Facebook groups, even your personal account. Like you guys should all be searching on your Facebook accounts. In that little search bar, you should be searching for real estate investing clubs, real estate investors, and stuff like that. And different things will pop up. And then you can find, or you could even post, hey man, who's the biggest investor in such and such a town? And you might learn some names that you've never heard before. So, but I like the old school landlords because, it's simply a cash flow mathematical equation. If it works, it's great. They buy it. If it doesn't, they walk away. Okay. So real quick here, I got to jump back to Tara, the texting campaign. What's your killer text? So here's the thing, Tara, is I really don't like sharing exact text sequences that we use because it wouldn't help you and it wouldn't help me. The reason why is everybody was doing the same exact text messages as me. It would start to spam out from the phone carriers. They start detecting if the same text messages are coming through. If they're worded the same, what happens is they detect that as spam and they shut the account down. And those will never be delivered. You may not even know it. But I like to be as real as possible. When sending a Facebook message, sending a text, just be real as possible. If you sound super professional, actually works against you. But just say, hey, this is how simple it can be. It literally is just this easy. Hey, are you still buying in such and such area? Are you still buying houses in such and such area? That's all you have to say. That's literally how easy it can be. I wouldn't even get any more like, hey, could you tell me your buying criteria for 3-bedroom, 2 baths and this zip code? Like, you don't want to do that. Hey man, are you still buying in such and such area, buying houses in X area? That's all you got to do. Let's see, Matt, one-time showing agreement you're talking about, is this a contract that the agent provides? Yes. So the one-time showing agreement you can get directly from the realtor that you ask. You can get it directly from them. Each place will probably have their own. And if they don't, you can just Google it and pull down a form. It's super simple. But each state probably has their own. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll get you one. And Sai's like, he manages all 500 himself. Yes. And he guess how many people he has on staff? 2. You want to know how? Every single one of them is a rent to own. All of rent to own. No maintenance. Collect rent. Collect the payment. That's it. The guy's rich. And it's funny, the first time I met him, I was at this bar named Pints in Davenport. It's not far from where I live. And this guy, I'm talking to this guy, and he asked me my name. And he's my name. He goes, wait a minute. I got somebody that wants to meet you. This guy comes over that owns all these houses, 500 houses. He comes over. He's like, man, I've been trying to figure you out he was like 10 years. He says, I have a filing cabinet of every single house you've ever bought, and I just can't figure out how you're doing it. It's so funny. So you never know. You never know. I've still bought more houses than him. He just owns more than I do, free and clear. He's got a lot more money. Trust me. So it's pretty neat though. It's pretty cool. Okay. Oops, meant to. So Tara, did I answer your question or not? Did I answer your question? Is that good? Can you unmute yourself? Are you there, Tara? Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question, Tara, but I may not have. If I didn't, jump back on. Okay, so any other questions, you guys? Good stuff.
One thing I'll add to find landlords when I went into Omaha is I just filtered the Zillow per rent, so I get all the landlords' numbers, and then I just RVM'd them with basically.
That is so smart. I love that.
It worked killer. Yeah. Super easy to find.
I like it. My VA is going to be doing that tomorrow, Bader.
Yeah.
Consider it done. Yeah, because you can go into the for rent. Some of those will be property management companies, but you can still skip trace the address,
Yeah.
I love it. Great idea. That's going to make me some money. So, okay. Anybody else have any questions? Was this good stuff?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
You said you have a friend that does wholesaling strictly with Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
Does
That's how he dispositions all his houses.
Okay. So he puts them under contract and then he gets rid of them on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
And Zillow doesn't have a problem with that, even if he doesn't own them outright?
No. And I even put this, do you have my virtually unemployed 2.0?
Yes.
Okay. It's right in there, the whole process on how to do it.
Okay.
Just check it out. Go in there and look and you'll see exactly how to do it.
I don't know how often Zillow changes their policies, but I just did this, and what they do now is they call you. The number you put in, they'll have to call you to verify it, and they ask, I think it's bedrooms and bathrooms, the price you put up, and then they'll want the zip code.
Yeah, it takes like a day to verify and approve it, right? Right, David?
The last one was an hour, and then I did one a month ago, and it was 2 days.
Yeah. Yep.
Depends on where they're at.
Yeah, they just want to call and make sure you're legit, But yeah, you can do it. Yeah.
Even if you don't own it.
Right. You're wholesaling. Yep.
They won't have it on the deed for another week because I closed on it, but they won't know I closed on it for at least a week.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You got it. Give it a shot. All right. Well, any other questions, you guys? Anything else I can help you with? All good? Good to go?
I'm not sure you want to answer this. More of a personal question, though.
Hit me.
I remember when we were in Iowa, you were talking about your dad and how he was more of a 9 to 5, work, and this is how you get by and those other items. What was his response when you retired him to you?
So I called him, I want to say, I think it was 2011 is when it happened. But I called him up, and it was on Father's Day, 2011. And I called him up. Now, my dad was born in 1942. So he is, what does that make him right now? about he's close to 80 years old.
Seven.
And so he was probably like 69 or so at this time. And so I called him up and just said, "Hey Dad, for Father's Day this year, I want you, I'm going to take over all your bills and give you money, and you don't have to ever work again." And he was like, the phone went dead quiet. And he was like, "Well, what if you forget to pay one of the bills?" And I said, "I won't forget, because we'll set it up on ACH right out of the bank." And the phone went dead quiet. And he said, "What if the bank messes up and doesn't pay?" And I'm like, "That doesn't happen, Dad. The bank doesn't mess up." And so he basically got off the phone. He didn't say thank you. Didn't really say much of anything. Got off the phone, and my mom called me right back. And my mom was like, "Hey, your dad doesn't know he doesn't really understand what's happening right now. He doesn't know what all this is and all this." So she's like, "Just give him a minute. He'll figure it out. Like it'll sink in." And eventually it did. And it's just, it's been an amazing thing. It was like, they've had the time of their life the last, 8, 9, 10 years, where they don't really do a lot. They don't fly anywhere. They don't travel. They don't want to travel. I've offered to fly them anywhere they want to go. They just like enjoying life. My dad worked really, really hard for a lot of years and never made much money. So it was funny. So after I retired him, like, I don't know, I was at my dad and mom's house like 3 years later. I don't know. It could have been 2 years, could have been 3. I don't remember. But I was over there, and my dad, I mean, they never had, like, it was very normal for me growing up to have the power shut off, to have the phone shut off. We didn't have central air. We didn't have air conditioning. We had box fans. Like, that's how we kept, I mean, it was just in the wintertime, the temperature was at 60 degrees or less in the furnace. Crappy cars, $200 cars. I mean, we had no money. And so it was funny, like, there was no such thing as a saving. My parents didn't have savings accounts. Like, that didn't exist. So it was so funny. So like 2 years after I retired, or 3, I was over at my house and over at my mom and dad's house having lunch one day. And my dad's like, "Yep, got more money than I've ever had saved up right now." And I'm like, "Really, Dad?" He goes, "How much?" I said, "How much you got saved up?" He goes, "I got $5,000 saved up in my bank." I just thought that was so funny. To him, 5,000 was $1 million. It was just more money than he knew what to do with, so it was pretty cool. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's fun to do that. That's the type of stuff that, you go, you make a lot of money and you go out and buy, I brought this. I don't always wear my expensive watches, but I decided to wear this watch is probably like $30,000. I don't know. I don't remember what I paid for it, but you spend 30 grand on a watch, or you buy a really nice car or something like that. And, that feels good in the moment. But when you do something like, retire your parents, it feels good forever. It's just a different feeling. It's pretty cool. So that's a real accomplishment. That changes somebody's life. Me buying a Rolex changes the Rolex dealer's life for like a minute. It doesn't change anybody's life. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, any other stories you want to hear?
That was it. I was just curious. I like, wow, you retired him? All right, so let me tell the story about how hard your dad was on you. About work, and this is how you do it.
Yeah. What's crazy is, so I bought my parents their house, and I don't know, 5 years ago, my mom calls me up and she's all upset, and she's like, "Man, I just don't know what to do." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you bought us our house, but your sister feels like when we pass away that she should get the house." And she's like, "I don't know what to do, because, I don't know if I'm supposed to leave it to," because I have a brother too. My brother, he's done really well for himself too. My sister's never really accomplished much. And so my sister wants the house that I bought my parents, and she feels like she should get the house. And so my mom's all upset. Like, "I don't know what to do. I don't want to make your sister really unhappy." And I said, "Mom, I own hundreds of houses. I don't need another house. Give it to my sister if that's what you want." Guess what she did? My parents were like, nope, we're giving it to you. So
The sales pitch, huh? Reverse
yeah, I
psychology.
did give away a house last week to a charity, a house I bought 13 years ago. I was watching every morning. Mark, you guys know Mark Evans, right? You guys know Mark? He's a good dude. Mark's one of my mentors, and every morning he does this Facebook Live where he does for an hour for no cost. It's really good stuff. He's a really smart dude. I really look up to him. He does this Facebook Live where he teaches for an hour. And he was on this Facebook Live and he's like, yeah, I gave this guy a house and everybody should, give a house away someday. And I was like, I've never given a house away. I literally jumped off Facebook, contacted sent a text to the guy that runs my favorite charity. And I'm like, hey man, do you guys want a house for free? He goes, I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, well, here's the address. Go drive by it. And if you want it, I'll give it to you. And I still had a mortgage on it. So he drives by it. Yeah, we want it. So I literally call my bank. I'm like, hey, take money out of my account, pay this house off. And then, so there's got to be an actual sale transfer. So we have to get an appraisal to find out the value and all this other cool stuff, because then it's like a direct write-off for whatever. When you give a house away, you always learn something new. When you give a house away, the write-off is whatever the house is worth, not zero or whatever you give it away for. So it's pretty cool. That's the kind of fun stuff I like to do. It's pretty fun.
What's your favorite charity?
My favorite charity is called 180. It's a local charity in the Quad Cities. This guy, he basically, if you go to 180.com and it's all spelled out, the ONE 80, 180.com, all spelled out. He basically creates these, for people that go to prison and they get out of prison, he creates housing for them and jobs. And so they usually, a lot of times, people have, they're addicted to drugs or alcohol or domestic abuse or whatever it is. And he brings them into the house. He watches them closely. And he's built this, and the graduation rate is like 99%. I mean, his results are unbelievable. It's just this huge, amazing charity for this group. And I know him personally. And it's kind of just neat to give and I know when I give him money, it actually gets put to work and the money goes to work. So I don't talk a lot about the charity stuff that I do because I don't really like people knowing about it. But when the COVID hit, I was giving him tons of cash. I mean, we were feeding hundreds of families a week with the money that I was giving him. And just in the Quad Cities, it's all local. And so I gave him this house and he'll probably put a family up into it that just got out of prison that needs a place to live. We're working on a really cool thing right now where, when all of this, the big thing in the news right now is Black Lives Matter and all that. And I don't go on to Facebook and post about this stuff because I don't like arguments with people, and you can't win anyway. So what I'm doing with him is I'm going to buy I'm giving him the cash. He's going to buy a house. I'm paying for all the rehab and I'm giving the house to him at the end. Then he's going to find a local family, and it'll probably be, I want it to be a Black family because I feel like, and this is like, he's like, Matt, I don't understand why you do this. Like you rent. Why would you want to take renters and make them into, homeowners? I'm like, because the crime, if you guys boil this thing down, crime, it really comes from poverty. That's where crime comes from. And so we're going to do this thing. I don't know how many I can do. Like we're going to try to do some houses, but I'm giving him the house. He's not giving the house away. I'm creating this course right now. It's pretty cool where I'm teaching these families in these bad neighborhoods, the poverty-stricken neighborhoods, how to build their credit, how to apply for a home loan, how to build themselves up so they can go out and get a loan. So I'm gonna buy the house. I'm gonna fix the house up. I'm letting him do all the work. He's gonna own the house, but then he's going to sell the house at a really low price to a local family that qualifies with a bank that can own the home instead of rent. So it's pretty cool. Like that's the kind of cool stuff that, we get to do. When you know the guy that runs the charity and you know his heart, he's not in it for the cash. So it's going to be pretty cool. Now, I can't do enough of these to, I can't do 50 of these at a time, but, you only have to change one family. You can change one family and change the course of what happens, forever. I think one of the reasons why I subconsciously got into real estate was because when I was growing up, we lived in the crappiest houses in my town. And I got made fun of for the houses that I lived in. And I always I remember being a little kid and being embarrassed about where I lived. And so I think part of the reasons I'm in real estate is because I love taking a crappy house, making it really nice, and letting some family move into it. And that family sometimes has kids, and those kids don't have to go through what I had to go through. You know what I mean? So, so it's pretty cool. So we're doing some cool stuff like that. And I used to give a lot of money to, other charities, and I started doing research, and the money never even makes it. Like the money's absorbed into parties and fundraiser parties and dinners and stuff. Like I like being able to give money and it goes to the guy and the guy handles it and it goes to a family. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's cool. When we were feeding, like I think it was 300 families a week, like every meal, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I did that for 6 weeks. And, I went to his charity and he had this church packed with food. And he's like, Matt, that is because of you, all that food. And I was thinking like that food is going to be eaten by real people. You know what I mean? We were, and I'll finish this story and then we'll jump off because I don't want to keep you guys all night. But when I was growing up, we went through tough times of not having food. And at one time we were on food stamps. And I remember at one point we had no food. And we come home in the kitchen. You never locked your doors back then, right? We come home and the kitchen, our kitchen table was packed with food. We're talking front to back, side to side, grocery bags full of food. And I remember being a little kid and being really, really happy that there was a lot of food on the table. And it wasn't just like we had to eat Cheerios, like no flavor. But the people that left the food on I won't never forget Golden Grams, Frosted Flakes, the good cereals that I never got to eat. That's the kind of food that we don't even know who put the food there, but it was pretty cool to see that happen. And I remember that happening to me and it was pretty neat. So kind of cool to do that type of thing. I just think that if you're going to give money, I like to do it anonymously and I like to do it where it makes a real impact. You know what I mean? So
that's incredible. I'm totally with you about that because there's a guy local here in Richmond who owns at least used to own a Bagley Houses franchise, and they're talking about he was working with veterans Path Up, a veteran program to get homeless veterans into houses. It's saying he got investors out of $2 million and stuff like that. It's been nuts here. It's been crazy. So yeah, the due diligence process plays a big role. But
yeah.
But that's an incredible story. You got me motivated and thinking now.
Pretty cool. It's crazy, you guys. That's why I really want you guys to do really, really well, make a lot of money because, you get to change the course of, I'm not, I don't know everybody's background, but I know that, a lot, that things can change drastically. I mean, if I don't have my own kids, we've got Aubrey now, but, she'll never, she's on a different path than she would have been if if I wasn't around. I mean, she's an entrepreneur. She's making money. She's always asking me how to make money. And it's pretty cool to watch. Like if you could, the way to get rid of violence, crime, all that is by, there's a lot to it. I don't want to simplify it more than it needs to be, but poverty creates a lot of that stuff. And if somebody learns how to make money and they understand that they can create their own destiny, then that changes the way they think. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I'm going to gonna jump off. But good stuff. I'm glad we had another good good meeting. And you guys have anything else before I jump off? All good. Cool, guys, gals. I'll catch you guys later. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Man.
All right.
Have
See
a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Yeah,